Have you ever felt completely lost, disconnected from your life or life purpose, or feel like everything you once knew in your life is crumbling to the ground? You might be experiencing what is called the dark night of the soul. Let's explore what it really means and how to recognize it. Hello, my name is Michelle Fondon. I'm an author and speaker. I'm the author of 11 published books, including Heal Yourself, A Return to Wholeness, the integration of body, mind, soul, and spirit. I'm also the author of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I teach meditation. All the links are below. You can start on demand at any time. So what is a dark night of the soul and where does it come from exactly? I did a little research here as to the exact origins of the dark night of the soul. And what I found was fascinating, and I actually learned something. The term the dark night of the soul comes from a 16th century Spanish mystic and poet, John of the Cross. He wrote a poem entitled La Noche Oscura del Alma, the dark night of the soul, to explain the experience. In Christianity, the experience is a loss of connection to God. It is the depths of loneliness and despair and the feeling that God is no longer there, according to this Spanish mystic. But at the end, it creates a greater divine connection. So I bet you didn't know that fact about a dark night of the soul. So let's explore a little bit the signs that you might be experiencing a dark night of the soul. The first sign is a deep sense of loss, confusion, or meaninglessness. Yes, I talk about this in my other videos of signs that you're going through a spiritual awakening, but that is also one of the signs of a dark night of the soul. If you have not yet viewed the signs of a spiritual awakening, whether or not you're experiencing it, I'll put that playlist right here, but that is the first sign: loss, a sense of meaninglessness. What is the meaning of life? It's the sense of ennui. It's a sense of what Jean-Paul Sartre called an existential angst, an existential crisis. Like, who am I? What am I doing here? What is the purpose of life? The second sign that you're experiencing a dark night of the soul is feeling disconnected from your spiritual path or higher self. Now, I'm going to put a little caveat around this. Some people, before their spiritual awakening, have no idea that they have a spiritual self or a higher self. So if that is you, you might be feeling disconnected, but you may have never even known that a higher self existed. So while it's a second sign of a dark night of the soul, you may not have even been aware of it. The third one is emotional pain, deep sadness, or existential depression. There's that word again, existential. The sadness, the deep, deep emotional pain, or even depression, which I do talk about in another video, I'll post that here, is really due to this sense of loss, the loss of the self that you thought you were. And it also has to do with a lot of the pain and suffering that we go through as we heal our past. And I'll really outline that in the next video. But it's this feeling of depression, sadness. Some of you that have been through the twin flame journey, for example, know for a certain fact that sometimes when you're going through that experience, you may begin crying for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You might even be bawling for hours and have no idea why you're crying. And so that is what sometimes happens too during the dark night of the soul. The fourth sign that you're going through dark night of the soul is that old beliefs, relationships, or identities fall apart. So what you conceived of as yourself, such as belief systems, such as I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Jew, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, that would be like a belief system, right? Or the relationships that you have, or identities. Like, I identify myself as a doctor. I identify myself as a lawyer. I identify myself as a truck driver. whatever it happens to be, all of a sudden you no longer identify yourself as that role that you play. That is part of that fourth sign. The fifth sign is a longing for something deeper, but not knowing what it is. And that's what I call limbo. It's when you're in this limbo state. Like, I want something deeper. I don't know what it is. I really feel like there is more to life than this. So if you have that sign, rest assured, along with the other signs, you're likely to be going through a dark night of the soul. It feels at this point like everything in your life is unraveling, but the reason for that is that it is unraveling to open you up to something even greater in your life. So now you might be wondering, like, why the heck does this even happen? Why is a dark night of the soul happening? Does it really have to happen like this? And it's not a punishment. So I want you to understand that the dark night of the soul is not happening to punish you. It's not God, source, universe, striking you down with lightning to punish you and say, you're a bad person, you're sinful, you did this. That's not the reason. It's an initiation. It's a spiritual detox, if you will. It's opening you up to something greater and something better, even though you might not be aware of what that something bigger, better, and greater is at this particular moment. It feels like your world's crumbling down, and it really does. And I'll tell a little bit of my story in just a minute, but it does. It feels like your entire universe is crumbling to the ground. So it certainly feels like a punishment sometimes when you're going through dark night of the soul. It doesn't feel like a spiritual detox, like I am detoxing. It feels more like, why is this happening to me? I can't even get footing, and then something else happens. But it's really about the beliefs, the belief systems, the patterns that you've acquired throughout your lifetime, and the relationships that may no longer be serving you. It's so that they can all be stripped away for you to step into a new light, to step into a new life. And that is the reason all of these things are happening during the dark night of the soul. Another thing I want to say is about timing. And of course, like, I will tell a little bit about my story here. Insert Michelle's story. Some of you who have been following me for quite some time know that I've been through several spiritual awakenings, at least 4 that I can count on my little fingers. And out of that, at least 2 to 3 major dark nights of the soul. Now, I didn't know that is what it was called. I did not have any of this terminology when it was happening, except for the twin flame experience. That's a little bit different. But prior to that, I didn't know what it was. Nobody talked about this stuff. There was no YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And so I didn't know that's what it was. But I will tell you, the biggest one for me was between the ages of 28 and 30, give or take some change. And for those of you that are well-versed in astrology, know that that is when most people have their Saturn return. And so I went through the big kahuna, dark night of the soul, between the ages of 28 and 30. Now, that leads me to the next point, or the first point that I said before this was, how long do they last? They can last anywhere from a few months to a few years. Sorry, that's just the way it goes. But for me, with that one, the major one, between 28 and 30, give or take, I say give or take some change because when did it end? I don't really know. There wasn't a defining moment that I was stepping into my new life. I feel like there was, but it wasn't very clear cut. It wasn't a clear break. When I was going through it, I had major bouts of depression, which I had never experienced depression in my life. I had major anxiety, which I had never experienced, like even a panic attack in my life. Of course, I was on the edge a lot when I was younger. I had a very tumultuous upbringing, but I didn't really understand anxiety from that perspective. But the anxiety that I experienced during the dark night of the soul was nothing that I had ever experienced before. I would say during my dark night of the soul, when I was 28 to 30, I had a lot of existential angst. A lot. I was like, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? I am not fulfilling my dreams. I'm not doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing in life. And that was a huge one for me because I was in a weird situation to do that. So I was married. I was married very young at the time of my existential angst at 28. I had 2 small children to take care of. I was not really in the career I wanted to be in. I was teaching school. I never in a million years said I want to teach school. So I was teaching, I was going through a major illness. Like there were so many things going on. And I was not where I wanted to be or where I felt I needed to be. I was not living the life of my dreams, and I was not following my life path and purpose. So I had enormous existential angst. I really thought my life was over at 28, 29, and 30. I thought this is the end. Like, I don't even need to be here at this point. And it wasn't like I was suicidal. It was more like those fleeting thoughts of I'm not doing what I know I need to be doing in my heart. So it led to a perpetuation of symptoms, the signs and symptoms of a dark night of the soul, that really self-perpetuated because I did feel lost. I felt alone. I felt that no one could understand. I felt abandoned by God. I felt like, why am I not able to get on my right life path? Why is my life where it is now and not in the way that I want it to be? I love my kids. I always loved my kids. I love mothering. Mothering is by far the longest career I have had in my entire life. But as far as what the calling of my heart was, I'm gonna post a video that I posted that didn't get a lot of views, but it shows that piece, what's in your heart, is the most important. And I'm gonna post that video here. It's called Don't Die with Your Music Still in You. Major symptoms of a dark night of the soul. And yes, it lasted about 2 to 3 years or more. So let's explore different ways in which you can navigate the dark night of the soul. So not all is hopeless, like the way I felt hopeless when I had my major dark night of the soul. The first step is to surrender. Surrender to the process. Don't fight it and don't resist it. Now that you know what it is, if you can give it a name, give it a label, qualify it, say, I'm not going crazy, this is perfectly normal, then surrender to it, give into it, ask it what it needs. Embrace yourself, because it's so important to embrace yourself. Love yourself during this process. I did not love myself through the big kahuna dark night of the soul that I experienced because I didn't even have that concept. So that leads me to the second piece of advice, and that's having self-compassion. You will be extremely tired during the dark night of the soul. If you're tired, rest. If you're tired, sleep, meditate, take care of yourself. Do not be too hard on yourself. That is super important. So that self-compassion is essential to move through the dark night of the soul. Number 3, journaling and meditation. Now, in the beginning of the dark night of the soul, when you're feeling the disorientation and you're feeling that depression and you're feeling the sadness and crying, you might not feel like meditating. Meditating at that point might feel more isolating or self-isolating. So it would be my suggestion that in that initial phase of your dark night of the soul, journal a lot. Journal every single day. And if you have it in your habit to pray, then pray. If you have it in your habit to meditate already, then meditate. If you have it in your habit to do positive affirmations, do positive affirmations. But journaling is going to be essential so that you can see the progress that you're making through the dark night of the soul. Number 4 is to let go of attachments. What does this mean? It means that if something is meant to go, it's meant to go. If something is meant for you, it will stay. This is a really tough one. It's a tough one because we do get attached to the things in our lives. We do get attached to the jobs and people in our lives. We get attached to belief systems that maybe are no longer serving us anymore. Maybe it's those belief systems that we need to let go of. Maybe there are certain people we need to let go of. Usually during the dark night of the soul, it's something major. It's something major, or many major things that you're needing to get rid of. But release attachments and just knowing that if it's meant for you, it'll circle back around. It'll come back around. So you really don't need to worry too much about that. Finally, seek support if you need support. There are different support groups. Of course, there are spiritual circles. There are yoga centers, for example. You can join my meditation class. And starting in April of 2025, I'm going to be doing 2 group meditations per month for students of my meditation courses. Just a like-minded community can really help you through a dark night of the soul. Remember, this is temporary. It doesn't last forever. I made it through, and you will also make it through, and the light will shine brighter than ever. It's not going to stay dark forever, I promise. So the dark night of the soul is a sacred process. You're not in it alone, I promise you. There are so many people, not only on my channel, but there are so many people in the world now going through this process of the dark night of the soul as more and more and more people are awakening. And that is absolutely the truth. There are so many people, so many more people awakening now than ever before, as the energies are totally shifting. You're being guided toward a more profound life experience. So stay on the ride. Don't try to exit the ride vehicle. Just like they would say at Disneyland, do not exit your ride vehicle. Stay on for the ride. Enjoy the flow, enjoy the process, even through the pain, the darkness, the depression. Know that it will come to an end. It's not going to be catastrophic. It's not going to feel like sadness forever. I promise you it won't. I made it through. You can also make it through. And if you need more spiritual insights, follow my channel, subscribe to my channel. And I do post videos on the spiritual experience, your spiritual awakening journey, and anything interrelated to your higher spiritual self. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Please share this video with others that you know who are going through a spiritual awakening journey. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 11 published books on Amazon. You can join my meditation course, and I will see you in the next video.